Good morning. We are gathered this morning both virtually and in person as one connected community. Also this morning, we are a joint service of Northwest UU Church and First UU Church Detroit. Well, that explains why there's not any of my Detroit friends here. Okay, I am I am Jim Moyer. And I am your worship associate this morning. Joanne was suddenly caught ill, and so I substituted for her. If you are a visitor online and would like Northwest to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor form appearing in the chat box. If you are with us in person, you can fill out the visitor sign-in form out in the atrium. And now please greet your neighbors from wherever you are, and the camera for the online folks is over here on this side. We have a few announcements to share with you. You'll find more information about Northwest and its events in the weekly newsletter and on our website. So next week's service will be a joint service at First U Detroit. We will celebrate Easter with pagan origin stories, transformative hope, and a big old Easter egg hunt. Hope to see you there. This Wednesday, March 27th, the Reverends Julie and Teresa will host a Zoom conversation about joys and sorrows. They, along with the pastoral care and worship teams, will present their plan for joys and sorrows moving forward and receive community feedback. The Zoom link can be found in the newsletter. I have a report from our canvas. If you are doing all you can to support the mission of Northwest, we thank you very much. If you have not stretched a bit or are thinking about what you will pledge or are just plain curious, please know that we have heard back from 41 out of 101 pledge units. The average pledge this year is $2,400. We have raised $164,600 of our goal of $270,000. We would really appreciate hearing back from all of you by the end of March, which is like tomorrow. Why? Because your pledges constitute 85% of the budget needed to keep our church doors open. And we start the budgeting process on April 1st. If you have questions or want to pledge today, please see Beata Lemparski in the church office. Thank you again for your generosity to Northwest. Ben Gable, the congregational administrator, is on sabbatical. Our AV tech, Michael, who's in the back closet there, is doing a fabulous job learning the ropes, but it's a steep learning curve to take on all of Ben's essential functions. Please be kind with any tech issues we have in the coming weeks. And please note, anything you'd like to add to the Friday newsletter will need to be sent to the email of the office administrator no later than noon on Wednesday. Thank you for your patience and cooperation. And now I have an additional announcement that came in late. Our coffee hour is severely lacking in volunteers. And the 3 people that have to do it all the time are really needing other folks to sign up. And after the service, there's going to be a clipboard where you can try to volunteer for some of these slots. The alternative is to just not have coffee hour because the same few people aren't going to want to do it Sunday after Sunday. So I hope some other folks can sign up for that after the service. I think we might have to bump that up to anybody under 90. All right. Oh, right. Before we begin the prelude, let's all take a deep breath and settle into a time of worship.
Good morning, everyone. This is our first full week without our congregational administrator, and we are seeing some of the effects of it. Did anyone get my 3 emails yesterday? And also, we announced that this was a joint service this morning, and it wasn't. But those things are mild compared to the rails where how much things could have gone off the rails. And I want to call out just a few people to acknowledge them. I want to thank Michael Bowie. He's been doing an amazing job. Folks, can we hear it from Michael? We really wouldn't be getting by without Michael right now. Beata Lamparski, your finance governor, has taken up just a ton of she's the reason Brendan is getting paid today. And Jason Bodson has been taking on a lot of the buildings and grounds stuff and the rentals. And so can we give him a hand too? Susie Kinnan is over here doing the AV tech in Ben's stead. It really has just been let's come together of folks just saying, yes, I can be here, I can do my part. So I want to just say yay for the spirit and can do attitude of this community. Y'all are showing up and showing out and showing that we, even when we don't have all of our elements in perfect working order, are an interdependent web that can lean on each other and be strong together. So thank you so much. I also do want to introduce Brendan Johnson. He is our guest pianist today, and as you can tell, he's very talented. We're very lucky to have him today. And I want to thank Jim Moyer, who stepped in at the last minute to be your worship leader. We are a motley ragtag crew, and we're going to get through it. Now that we've acknowledged all of those folks, I would also like to acknowledge this land. We honor and pay our respects to the land on which we live and work, which was violently stolen through colonialism, genocide, and forced removal of its traditional stewards. These stewards are the Anishinaabeg, the Council of Three Fires, which include the Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi, also known as the Ottawa, Chippewa, and Potawatomi tribes. We also acknowledge the people of African descent who were forcibly removed from their land and separated from their families through kidnapping and enslavement, and pay reverence and respect to them for building this country's infrastructure and economy with no compensation or reparations to date.
Our chalice lighting is words from Reverend Dr. James Villa Blake. We light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, knowing this morning that many other Unitarian Universalist congregations across this land and around the world are doing the same. Please repeat after me. We light this flame to grow in spirit, knowledge, and action.
We light this flame to grow in spirit, knowledge, and action.
Accept and challenge one another. To support each other in times of joy and need.
To support each other in times of joy and need.
And now, you are invited to rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 95, There Is Some More Love Somewhere.
I am now going to ask, Leah, would you come up and help too? Awesome. So I don't know if any of you can see, oh, can one of you close the valve to that beach ball so it doesn't completely deflate? If you can, yeah. Oh, look at that. I don't know if you know, but there are a bunch of beach balls here in church today. Why are there beach balls up near the chancel in church? Well, you know, today's service is all about hope and what gives us hope. And beach balls are colorful and they're fun. I think they're kind of inherently hopeful objects. When I see a beach ball, I think I'm gonna have fun. So I'm gonna ask Amelia and Eva to write down the things that give us hope on these beach balls. So I need your help, everyone. I need you to call out, what is it that gives you hope? Spring. Spring gives us hope. What else? Patience. I heard patience. I also heard birds. Did I hear birds? Does somebody else want to come up and get another beach ball? Because I think we're saying things quicker than they can write. Does anyone want to help write things on the beach balls? All right, Linda, thank you. Can do attitude. We have another beach ball if anyone wanted to. So we've got birds. What else do we have? The First Amendment gives Bob hope. Song gives Julie hope. Yeah. New Year's gives you hope. Yes, excellent, Liz. Democracy gives Liz. Okay, well, I was trying to make it easier for them to write it. Yeah. Kindness, okay. Voting, how about we said voting? Voting instead of democracy, okay. Mark? Sunshine, yeah. Flowers? Babies, I heard babies and children. Do we need a break? Did we get stuff? Got most of it? Oh yeah. Bees. So Oliver says solar panels, bicycles, love and smiles, music, sunrise. Excellent. So we are nature-loving political people. Medical care. We had songs, yeah. Wise ones. So we've got the spectrum of, well, I guess wise ones don't need to be older folks, but yeah. Kittens and community. Excellent. Anyone else? Yeah. Chocolate. Oh, yes, yes. Anyone else? Stuff? I didn't hear that. Family. Yes, yes. All right, one more. Let's do one more. Diversity. All right. Amazing. Did somebody say zombies? Oh, stuffies. That is very different than zombies. Yeah. All right, stuffies. So Eva, what gives our community hope? Just read off a couple of those things that are on this beach ball.
We've got flowers, diversity, babies, chocolate, medical care, sunrise, family, bicycles, and kittens.
I have solar panels and bees, and one more, sunrise.
New Year's, First Amendment, medical care, wise ones.
All right. So these are amazing things, and most of us have access to many of these things. But sometimes, even though all of these things that are in our lives, there are days when I am starting to feel hopeless. The state of the world or the state of something is getting me down, and I'm like, I don't know, it's tough to hang in here right now, folks. And what community does is they take our hope and help us keep it up. So we are going to try to make sure hope floats here today. It's okay, sometimes it hits the ground. Sometimes you can get up, you can move around. We're not going to spike our hope at each other. Woo! Oh no. Run away, hope. Make sure that we're doing everything we can to hold up each other's hope. Hey, no spiking hope, please. Sometimes you're just walking in and hope hits you even when you don't know it's going to. Yeah, good job, Carol. All right, send the hope up to the front. Send the hope up to the front. Excellent. Right here. So remember, next time that you're feeling a little down and hopeless, get your hands on something colorful, do a little bit of play, and trust your community to hold you.
Got the play ready for me. Thank you. Now our children and teachers are going to go to their classrooms, and we're going to carry the flame. Mina, would you like to carry the flame today? Yeah? There you go. So you could rise and we will sing them out.
May your mind be open to learning. May your teeth may your heart know love, and your mind will work of justice as you go your way to peace. As you go your way in peace.
One purpose of a religious community is to encourage all who gather together to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will mutually support this self-supporting congregation and the shared plate recipient. Every other month throughout the year, Northwest shares 50% of the plate collections with the Southfield Emergency Needs Fund. Their goal is to help residents overcome personal hurdles to achieve a satisfying and productive quality of life. Human Services is a division of Southfield Community Relations. You can donate in a variety of ways that are now visible on your screen. For those here in person, we will pass the collection basket for checks and cash.
I will light one final candle for the joys and sorrows that live in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, knowing well that we will continue to share the joys and the sorrows of this community with each other in some form. And for all of those joys and sorrows, I offer this. Sources of radiance and resilience. Keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this night. May the suffering be soothed. May the sick be tended. May the weary find rest. May the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded. And may all know that we are surrounded in a love that is with us always, a web that connects us to all that exists. May we take a few moments to be in silent sacred space with one another. We're going to come out singing. Brendan will feel the fullness of the moment, and when he is ready, he will play number 123, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart a sweet of passion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, give life, hold me close, bring set me Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Poetry of Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, and yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. And now you are invited to rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though my pain and need away, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what then I said yes to life.
There is a point in the service when the minister gets the chance to tell everyone, hey, this is the point of today's service. This is the message distilled to its most basic. Hi, Wilder. And that, Wilder knows, is the story for all ages. It's the time for all ages. It's the time where everyone, children and adults, get to hear without sermon illustrations or research put into it. This is a story that illustrates what I'm trying to talk about. I love the story for all ages. And so today, I wrote one as a sermon. It's called A Story of Hope. Hope was a young girl who lived in the land of gladness. Hope's hair was made of sunshine and her freckles were bits of stardust. Hope's meals came from the spring of possibility, which was located in the forest of youth. Daily, Hope would take long, satisfying draws from the spring of possibility and the nap in the Temple of Equality, which lay just outside the forest. The Temple of Equality was a beautiful building, rivaled by none in its architecture due to its perfect balance. The Temple of Equality had many rooms, and it was said that every room in the temple was just as beautiful and ornate as the others. Each room was different, but no room had less, and no room had more. One day, Hope's parents, Time and Knowledge, presented Hope with some devastating news. They were moving the family away from the forest of youth and out of the land of gladness. Hope would now reside in the neighboring land named Responsibility. Hope did not want to move. All her life, she'd been happy in the land of gladness near the forest of youth, and certainly she did not want to abandon her Temple of Equality. It was the place that she felt the most at home, the most secure. So feeling lost, Hope confided her fears in her greatest companion, Faith. Faith told Hope that her parents, Time and Knowledge, understood the points in life when one must move on. Faith assured Hope that there would be other temples of equality in other lands, and that if she remembered to take time to come back to it, the land of gladness would always be waiting for her. But what about the forest of youth? Asked Hope. That you must say goodbye to, answered Faith, although you will always remember it in your heart. But the spring of possibility, exclaimed Hope. It is my only source of sustenance. Faith again assured Hope that there were other springs in other lands and told her it was time to go. As her parents, Time and Knowledge, packed all of the family's belongings, Hope returned to the forest of youth to take one last drink from the spring of possibility. But when she arrived at her usual drinking space, the spring of possibility was gone. Hope was thirsty, so she looked and looked, but she could not find the spring of possibility. And then a very strange thing began to happen. As Hope was searching, the leaves began to turn strange colors on the trees all around her, bright reds, and then oranges, and then more brown. And when the leaves reached their brown stage, they began falling from the trees. Astonished and frightened, Hope called out to her companion Faith. And as always, when needed, Faith was close by. Come, Hope, you have to find another spring. The forest of youth is changing seasons, said Faith. So Hope traveled with her parents, Time and Knowledge, to the land of responsibility. And upon arrival, Hope went in search of a new spring of possibility. At this point, she was very thirsty. During her search, Hope found that there were many springs by many names, and not all of them were nourishing. She came across the springs of anger, fear, and resentment, all of which made her feel sick. She came across the spring of hatred, but it had the scent of poison, so she didn't drink. The spring of confusion made her feel dizzy. The spring of creativity made her feel vibrant and full of energy, so she drank often from that spring, but she felt quickly tired afterwards. Hope searched and searched for a spring that would quench her thirst like the spring of possibility. And as she was searching, Faith came to visit once again. During her visit, Hope inquired after the location of the Temple of Equality that resided in the land of responsibility. So Faith led her there. Inside, Hope found the springs of love and community. She found when she mixed them together, they made the nectar of peace. The nectar of peace made Hope feel very full and very cozy. So for a while, Hope would spend most of her days drinking from the spring of creativity and her nights sheltered in the temple, sleeping comfortably after drinking in love and community. Still, Hope was not as nourished as she had been by the spring of possibility. She longed for the adventure that her current peace could not give her. She missed the taste of possibility. In the land of responsibility, Hope's hair of sunshine turned to straw, and her stardust freckles faded and fell from her cheeks. But she was comfortable. Sometimes she even felt winds that she knew must have been carried from the land of gladness. So Hope rested for a time. One day, as Hope was retrieving her drink from the morning spring of creativity, she noticed a thick oozing substance on the ground. The substance was spilling over into her spring of creativity. Hope followed the substance and found that it flowed from the spring of discontent, newly bubbled from the earth. Hope spent all day and night trying to save the waters of creativity from contamination. She worked to fight back the flood of the liquid coming out of the stream of discontent, but to no avail. So thirsty, Hope drank of the stream that mixed both creativity and discontent and returned to her temple of equality. Hope entered, but tired as she was, she accidentally went into a different room in the temple that was not her own. Noticing her mistake, she excused herself and began to leave, but before she could, Hope noticed a large crack in the wall of this room. The walls in Hope's room of the temple did not have cracks. Dismayed, she left the room and went into another. She entered a room full of rich red colors. The furniture in the room was plush, but also worn and threadbare. Hope didn't understand why these things were allowed to lose their beauty when everything in her room was new and sparkling and white. Hope found the guardian of the temple, tradition. Hope asked tradition why some rooms had new things and others did not. Tradition told Hope that wealth worshipped in her room with her, and that wealth was the one that kept things in good repair. Without wealth, the other worshipers needed to make do with cracks and failing furniture. When Hope asked why wealth only worshipped in one room of the temple, tradition responded that this is the way it had always been. Hope felt empty. She went back to her room and realized that the people in it never really looked into the other rooms. She never had. Even within the temple, the same temple, they didn't see the other rooms around them, the other people drinking in the same streams of love and community. And Hope realized that the people in her room did not even know that people in other rooms had to live with cracks, that some people had to live without the benefit of someone replacing their items of comfort. Faith appeared again when called on. Faith noticed the changes in Hope, her need of nourishment, her hair of straw, her lack of star-kissed freckles. And Faith told Hope of another temple far, far away in the land of progress. This temple, Faith said, is the meeting place of the guardians of all the temples across the land. If you travel there, the journey will be long and difficult, but you will have your questions answered. Hope packed her belongings right away, said goodbye to her parents, time and knowledge, who encouraged the journey, and headed off to the land of progress. Faith accompanied her. When they arrived, Hope noticed how exceedingly beautiful the land of progress was. It was full of springs, new springs everywhere. The air was warm, but the breeze blew constantly. Faith beckoned Hope to follow her as she made her way to the temple on the hill, where the guardians of all the other temples met to pray and sing and eat and make very big decisions. It was very tiring to walk all the way up the large hill, but when she did, Hope found a vast temple, much larger than anything she'd encountered before. It was looming and frankly a bit intimidating. As Hope crossed the threshold to the temple, she felt a buzz of new energy that was different than that she had felt before. But the hall of the temple, it was cavernous and cold and empty. It was at this point that Faith turned to Hope and said she needed to be going now, and abruptly left. Hope was shocked and upset. Never in her life had Faith abandoned her before. Hope wandered around the halls of the temples. She spent a long time wandering aimlessly, looking for something to answer her questions. The only springs she found in the temple were those of loneliness and confusion. She drank from them because she was thirsty, but they did not make her feel nourished. As she was wandering one day, a girl adorned with pearls approached her. She introduced herself as Grace. Grace told Hope that her inner light was not shining so brightly. Hope didn't entirely understand. It seemed that no one in the temple spoke in a way that was meaningful to her, but having a brighter light sounded like a good thing, so Hope listened. Grace told Hope that in the temple were two great teachers. There's nothing to let you know that the service is going well, like the children coming in and stealing service elements. So Grace told Hope that the temple had two great teachers. One she found, and when she found them, she would learn her lessons and things would become clear. Hope thanked Grace and resumed her wandering with new enthusiasm. Sooner than she thought, Hope came upon a room with two tall figures. They were standing in front and administering lessons to a group of anxious and eager students. Hope was so relieved. She clearly had found these two teachers, so she went into the room and began absorbing whatever lessons they gave her. She learned that the teachers' names were Error and Ignorance. The exercises they gave Hope to learn were easy and uncomplicated. Hope was bolstered, thinking that her answers were going to come soon and with little effort. After the exercises, Error and Ignorance asked Hope to drink from a spring in order to toast their lessons. Hope, following the guidance of Error and Ignorance, drank and drank and drank. And after she finished, she began to feel a heavy weight upon her whole person. "What is this spring?" asked Hope. "It's the spring of defeat," answered Error and Ignorance. The weight Hope felt began to grow. She fell to the floor, unable to move, and watched as her teachers abandoned her. She was too dejected to protest. Hope sat slumped over the floor for a very long time. Faith had abandoned her. Those who she looked to for lessons had left her. She no longer felt at home in her temples. As the effect of the water from the spring of defeat began to wear off, Hope began to gather herself for her journey home. Clearly, she had come to the wrong place. As she was leaving, she encountered Grace one more time. Hope was angry with Grace for leading her astray. "Why did you tell me that Error and Ignorance were going to teach me? Why did you not warn me to stay away from them?" Hope demanded. Grace looked calm and grounded. "I told you that two great teachers would answer your questions. I did not say they were Error and Ignorance. The teachers are two others. I'll bring them to you." Just then, two children turned the corner and appeared before Hope. "This is Failure and Perspective," said Grace. She introduced them to Hope. "They are the children of Error and Ignorance. These are the teachers you seek." Failure and Perspective approached Hope. They stood protectively on either side of her and took her by the hand. And in doing so, they led her further into the temple. Hope passed many classrooms with a feeling that she would be back to learn at some point in them. But at the end of the hallway, failure and perspective welcomed Hope to a room with soft, glowing light. As she entered, Hope noticed that the room was filled with people, all kinds of people. The room contained people like the ones from other temples she had visited, but they were all in one room. There were small cracks in the walls, and the furniture was made of many, many colors. None of it was new, but all of it looked serviceable. In the middle of the room was a great fountain, something Hope had not seen before. And into the fountain flowed many streams all together. She looked and she saw streams she knew well of creativity, love, and community. But there were also streams of humility and patience, compassion, self-awareness, empathy, and courage. A person with an impeccable suit and a soft voice approached Hope. They told her that they were the guardian of this temple and their name was enlightenment. They told Hope that she had much work ahead of her, but if she drank of the nectar of wisdom, the mixture in the fountain in the center of the room, she would find the tools in the classrooms that would help her build up the temples of equality all over the land to fix the cracks and mend the furniture. This is what Hope had traveled all this way to hear. She drank the nectar of wisdom. At first, it tasted kind of bitter. Hope continued to drink, anticipating a transformation. She asked Enlightenment why the temple was so vast and why this room was so difficult to find. Enlightenment told her that the temple was large, that it may accommodate all people, whether they chose to venture there or not. They explained to her that the room containing the nectar of wisdom was difficult to find because most people didn't want to see it. Failure and perspective usually had to guide the way. The more Hope learned, the more she became accustomed to the nectar of wisdom, bitter as it was, and she tried her best to learn the lessons before her. One day, as Hope entered the temple's fountain room, she was shocked and delighted to see her old friend Faith had returned. "Faith, where have you been?" Hope asked, half relieved, half angry. "Why did you leave me?" "I didn't leave," answered Faith. "You just pushed me away for a time, and now you've welcomed me back. The nectar of wisdom must be feeding you." Hope replied, "I am fed, though the food is unappetizing." "Try this," said Faith, and added the liquid of acceptance to the mix. Hope drank. She drank and she drank, and she realized that she had never tasted anything so wholesome in her life. As she drank, she felt full for the first time in a long time. Hope felt enlivened. Her senses became more acute, and as they did, she noticed she heard the patter of rain on the rooftop. Hope had spent so much time wandering lost inside the temple, she'd forgotten how beautiful the land of progress was, and asked Faith if she'd come outside with her. Hope and Faith stood outside on one of those rare days where there's both rain and sunshine, the kind that create rainbows. As the water fell on her face, Hope began to feel a transition. Her face was no longer made of the absence of stars. Her hair was no longer straw. As the rain trickled over her, Hope realized she was becoming human. She smiled, and as she did, the rain trickled into her mouth. "Oh my," said Hope, "I know this water. It's from the stream of possibility. This is the food of my childhood." "Yes," answered Faith, "and from time to time, when you are learning and growing, it will cover the land, and you will feel rejuvenated and alive. And from time to time, things will get hard again, and the nectar of wisdom may become bitter. In those times, you may even wish me gone again, but if you stay on your path, if you open yourself up to the earth and the sky, possibility will continue to rain down on you every so often." "What do I do now?" asked Hope. "Return to your lessons," said Faith. "Do not forget the words of enlightenment. Inside those classrooms are the tools of truth and justice and beauty. You must find them and build up the temples so that they are perhaps not equal, but maybe equitable." Hope returned and looked at the temple, the place where she had experienced anxiety and hurt, reconciliation, and growth. She looked back at the long path that had taken her where she was, took a deep breath, and realized the journey was just beginning. Will you rise in body and or spirit and sing our final hymn, Come Sing a Song with Me?
Please repeat after me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
So bring each other hope. Bring each other hope. This community has faced hardship recently, and I think that every time I've seen us start to come out of it, it's because we turned in toward each other and we brought each other hope when hope was hard to find. Maybe it's raining or storming or snowing outside, and when we huddle together and turn toward one another, we can bring each other hope. Are you mad at someone? Bring them hope. Are you confused about something that's going on? Turn toward each other and bring each other hope that we can come together through any kind of storm, through any kind of loss, through any kind of community disjoint, and know that the fabrics of this community are strong and loving and built to continue. Bring each other hope. When hope is hard to find, turn toward one another. I'll do my best to bring you hope. Will you do the same? Then amen and blessed be. Have a beautiful week.